to condemn the brutality, the horror, the slaughter, the pogrom that we've seen by Palestinian terrorists against Israeli civilians.
Well, any human being should be shocked and sad to see innocent people killed. And this is terrible. Nobody can accept this. But I don't see that there will be any justification that the reply to what's happening is a mirror again in Gaza, because again what's happening in Gaza now on the other side of the borders is also sad and terrible. Seeing also kids burned under bombarding is, a human suffer, a human loss is very sad wherever it happens, and whoever pushes the trigger. And I think I have listened today, for example, from the Minister Gallant, calling everybody in Gaza animals. I just want to draw the attention of the Israeli audience that maybe for most of those 2.2 million people for years under siege, they might have seen also all the people on the other side as animals. It's a terrible, sad situation where victims lose their lives. And I think these moments, they need courage. I was not able to understand, for example, for weeks when there was the Saudi-American talks about the possibility of a breakthrough, of a huge peace. Nobody from the opposition in Israel thought of joining the government. But now,
but Samer Sinijlawi, the triggers for any political move or reservation from this or that geopolitical change. Does anything justify the slaughter of the elderly in their beds, handcuffing children, and
nothing at all, nothing. It is denied, but we need to identify what is a human loss. When should we be sad when there is a human loss? Only when it is at one side of the borders? Or should we be human enough to shed the same tears when a human being loses his lives at both sides of the borders? I have been watching all the Israeli channels in the last days, and I can see how much the Israeli society is in shock. I can see that maybe to a certain extent the Israeli security system has been humiliated. I can understand this. I can understand the feel. I can understand the anger. But nobody from the Israeli channels now is trying to also show the public some pictures and videos of what's happening now in Gaza. What's happening now in Gaza is also terrible. It's
listen, Samer, I agree with you. I agree with you from the beginning about condemning it, but I, as an Israeli, feel sorrow when I see Palestinians suffering. I have no desire for Palestinians to be hurt. And at the same time, I don't think that is reciprocal. That is not what we've seen in the response, even to this attack. Not all Palestinians, of course. There are many innocent Palestinians, and many of them who just want to live in peace. But there are also hundreds, if not thousands, who were celebrating this massacre, and that's undeniable, and you don't see that on the Israeli side. I'm sorry, but you don't. Does that mean everything Israel does is correct? Of course not. But it's not the same thing.
300 kids lost their lives in Gaza now.
And that is a terrible tragedy, but you don't see Israelis celebrating in the streets because there are Palestinian children who have been killed.
Can you condemn this, please? Can you condemn the loss of the lives of 300 kids in Gaza now?
Condemn the loss of lives? Of course. I think it's a terribly sad thing. Does that mean Israel should stop attacking Hamas sites? Absolutely not.
Well, what will happen then?
I want to ask you, actually, Samer. I want to know from you. What do you think the solution is? What do you think Israel should do in response to the rise and the strength of Hamas at this point, killing civilians, which you condemned? But you don't support Israel striking Hamas sites. So what do you support? What should Israel be doing?
I don't accept, and I condemn, and I consider it's terror killing kids in Gaza. Kids, they are kids, 300 kids among 600 people, 50%.
Yes, but the IDF isn't targeting children. They're targeting Hamas military sites.
Hamas military, Emily, are under the ground, and the military,
then that is the responsibility of Hamas.
They know.
That alone is a war crime. Putting things next to mosques, inside of mosques, under mosques, in schools, under schools, these are war crimes, and Hamas bears full responsibility for it. I'm sorry it's a tragedy. I'm sorry that the Palestinians suffer as a result of it. But the responsibility for it lies with Hamas.
Emily, me and you should consider that the real criminal is the international community that brought us to this strategy of killing each other as a man to justify the survivance of our
Israel is not interested in killing people for the sake of killing. Israel is interested in pursuing, shutting down and deterring terrorism. Israel is interested in self-defense. We have no interest other than that.
You have tried one time peace with the Palestinians, Oslo, and you keep saying it failed and we should forget about it.
That's not true. There have been at least 5 offers on the table, including more than the Palestinians demanded.
And you continue doing war in Gaza. Now this is the war number 16.
We didn't continue doing war. We didn't continue doing war.
These military operations are war in Gaza.
Israel hasn't done anything. Hamas is the aggressor in this situation. They themselves have admitted it with the backing of the Islamic Republic of Iran. But Samer, you still haven't answered my question. I really want to know. You're prepared to condemn terrorism against Israeli civilians. So what is your solution? What do you think the state of Israel and the IDF should be doing to stop Hamas terrorism?
You need to compromise. You need to do political steps. You need to acknowledge the rights of Palestinian people to the right of self-determination.
We never had a problem with that. We never had a problem with self-determination of Palestinians.
If peace
it was them who had a problem with our self-determination.
Lasting peace should be a just peace. We should learn this lesson. It will never end. This cycle of violence and killing and losing innocence.
I don't have a problem personally with the existence of a Palestinian state. I do have a problem with a Palestinian state that refuses to exist in peace with a Jewish, Israeli, Jewish, and democratic state of Israel. That is not the case for the majority of Palestinians. Time and time again, Palestinian leadership have rejected offers even to have their own state, something that Mahmoud Abbas has admitted was a mistake back in 1948. And yet they continue to do the same thing over and over and over again. And you can't say that this terrorist attack was a result of occupation or a result of oppression because they weren't targeting military. This wasn't a strategic military operation. This was a campaign, a genocidal campaign against civilians.
We are in sad days. Stop propaganda, please. Stop Hasbara.
Propaganda. It's the truth. I'm sorry that you can't handle it, but this is the truth.
Palestinians, never. You are doing annexation now. Look at the government.
No, we're not.
Look at Smotrich. He is doing de facto annexation in the West Bank. He is expanding settlements. All what we are getting from Israel is expanding settlements. It's getting terrorists into the government like Ben-Gvir and Smotrich.
I don't agree with Ben-Gvir or Smotrich, nor do I agree with annexation. But at the same time, one would think that after 70 years of failures on the part of the Palestinian leadership, that perhaps they should try a new tactic other than rejecting every single offer that comes onto the table. That's not what we have seen. We continue to see rejectionism of the right of Israel to exist as a Jewish and democratic state side by side next to Palestinians. That is the core of the problem.
You are wrong, and you are doing again Hasbara. And I'm telling you, I am a Palestinian. I am Fatah. I am mainstream. I have been 5 years in Israeli jails, and I tell you, Israel.
So being mainstream is spending 5 years in Israeli jails.
Well, I was 5 years in the Israeli jail. At the age of 15, I was at the first Intifada, and I tell you, I recognize the right of Israel to exist as a Jewish state. I don't mind if you want to call it Jewish state or Buddhist state or whatever. And I recognize that Jews have historical rights in the land of Palestine. But I was always here. You have never been alone. There was always others. And the others
that's factually untrue. That's factually untrue. I'm sorry. The Jewish people were here thousands of years before the majority of Arabs came to this land. I'm sorry.
Have you ever been alone here? Have you ever been alone?
Yes, the Kingdom of Israel, historically speaking.
No, there was always others, and the others are us. And this land is rich in
let's
its
try
Jewish,
to
Christian,
fast
and Muslim
forward to
culture.
this point in time, Samer and Emily. Samer, I've been waiting to speak to you since this morning because you've been here in studio so many times, and there was one question that kept on popping in my head. What is Mahmoud Abbas thinking now? He's seeing that. What is religious leaders are thinking when they're seeing this documentation of this, again, the atrocities that happened, this slaughter, this genocide?
Well, I am 100% sure that this operation is an attempt from Iran to steal the conflict, the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, control it, and push it to the direction they want. If you have seen
because you have to admit, Samer, these are ISIS actions. This is not something we've seen here before. This level of cruelty.
So if there are 50,000 militants in Gaza who belong to Iran, paid and operated by Iran, this does not mean that we should consider the whole Gaza as being playing the same role these people are playing.
But where is the one Palestinian leader who will tell them, listen, my people, don't celebrate that?
Well, we have a lack of leadership. And we are paying for this. And you have seen that whenever Abbas opens his mouth, he brings catastrophe to the Palestinian people. Not recognizing the Holocaust and keeping saying his bullshit statements on international TV. We are suffering from lack of leadership, maybe on both sides. But tell me, why we don't have elections? Because again, there is one person that is supporting Abbas and wants him to stay in power. It's Netanyahu. It's not the Israeli system. It's not the Israeli military, not the Israeli security system. It's Netanyahu. Netanyahu has played the strategy of Bidul, separating Gaza from the West Bank. And look at the results. He has now the revolutionary guards in Gaza penetrating his borders and killing Israelis inside in the middle of Israel. This is the policy of Netanyahu, and Netanyahu should take responsibility and resign if he has enough courage. He is the one to be blamed in everything that is happening now. This is his strategy, and this is the results. And we are continuing, doing again wars and wars, and killing more victims on both sides. We should end all of this, and this should start now. You have a unity government, an emergency government. You will have it soon. The Palestinians should elect new leadership, and this leadership will be capable to sort things in a better way with the Israelis. This is the only way out.
I agree with it all, and yet I do want to ask you, Samer, do you really think that Israel can just do nothing now? Again, today, not generally, now, at this point in time?
Well, whatever Israel will do, the memories that will be left from these days is only the memories of people penetrating what is supposed to be the most sophisticated and solid fence. These memories will be left. Whatever Israel will do on Gaza, it will not help. It will not bring to a solution. I would have been more careful into targeting civilians in Gaza to show that there are some moralities. But now we are, doing reflections of the images on both sides, repeating the images here in Gaza, and this is terrible.
Emily.
I don't know how you can say that Israel should be more careful when we are already exercising precision airstrikes, when we already provide advance warning, and in addition to that, we know that Hamas is using civilians as a human shield. This is a tactic that they have long used, and I think you can agree with me that it's something that the Islamic Republic of Iran teaches all of their terrorist proxies to do. At the same time, like Eddie was alluding to, we can't do nothing. And I think it's really important to emphasize the fact that a lot of people are speaking now about avenging what happened or revenge on Gaza. That's not the purpose of any military operation done by the IDF. The purpose is in order to deter and to prevent the terrorist organization or the enemies to be able to carry out such attacks. That is what the goal is. And that is why people have asked me before, well, why would Israel alert people in a building that they're going to bomb it? Let's say they want to target terrorists. They don't always even want to target terrorists. There are times when they have military strikes that are hitting facilities where things are being held, where operations are being conducted. So it's not always about the people. Israel does everything that it can technologically with the capabilities that we have to protect civilian lives. So again, I am sorry. I feel sorrow for the people of Gaza.
We need to be honest. This campaign we are facing might exceed the borders of those usual practices that we were familiar with. Tough days ahead of us, no other way to put it. Emily, Schrader, Samer Sinijlawi, wasn't an easy conversation, but I am, for one, I'm glad we had it. Thank you very much for your time. Hopefully we will be talking again in better days. Thank you.